That's what I like to hear. Uh, I'm pretty good, I guess. I'm tired. I had a stressful week, stressful day, but you know, everything will be all right. It always is. Well, I thought we was gonna have a short night, but I just noticed Eric Miller's here, so. I'm just kidding, buddy. It's good to see you. I love you, man. uh, so our guest speaker tonight is Daniel Sessoms. If you don't mind, go ahead and put your phone up. I'm just kidding, buddy. I'm just kidding. And he told me, he was like, Eric Miller's coming. I was gonna let him say. I was like, man. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. That's what I like to do, give people a hard time. All right, so if you hadn't noticed, we got a bunch of balloons in here. I don't know if you can tell, but some back there, some up here, some up there. But so we got some birthdays in the house. So first, Calvin Watson. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. How old are you, Calvin? 34? All right. Good deal. We don't have to ask you. I couldn't tell if it's 25, 22, 55, because they're turning. I don't know if it said. Yeah, I was going to say that, but then I thought maybe I shouldn't say that up on stage. But it's also Donald Jenkins' birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. So what do we do whenever it's birthdays here at Celebrate Recovery? We sing happy birthday, right? All right, so are you ready to sing happy birthday to these two lovely men? All right, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Did you put reverb on the microphone? Happy birthday to you. Whoa, there's some feedback there, buddy. Yeah, Ryan, where's the applause at, buddy? You're there we go. Clap, clap. Let me say something about Ryan real quick. I'm super proud of him. He went for a job interview. When was it? The job interview. Wednesday. To work at the school that he just graduated from, and they called him this morning at 10 o'clock and told him he got the job. So, is that not awesome? Well, maybe not, but it's a start. You can't be picky when you first come out of college, you know what I mean. But he likes the job; it makes him happy, and I'm happy for him, you know. He's doing IT stuff, and that's what he's built for. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, so I'm super proud of Ryan. I wish I had it together like that when I was his age. You know what I mean? It took me 40 years to get it together. John Bowman Jr. All right, so I'm going to thank some people for this food we had. What are you clapping for? Okay, so I'm going to read this off first. This is what Vanessa wrote. The food was donated thanks to the glory of God. Amen. The donor said it was only because of God that she was able to do it. She did ask to let everyone know how proud of us she is. So, who was it? Okay, well, whoever it was, anonymous person, we thank you so much. It means a lot. It means a lot, especially for someone who does it to want to take the time and tell us that, you know. It means a lot. We really appreciate that. All right, so it was served by Vanessa. Larry. Amy, I can't find her. There she is. And Luann. Where's Luann? Boom. There she is. And we thank you. All right. Let's continue on. Shannon Crouch is here today. All right. Let's do these chips. Shannon Crouch, everybody. Who yelled that? That was loud. Proud of you, man.
How's everybody doing tonight? I was thinking back there and seeing what the Lord put on my heart to write. And we know all about Peter. When he seen Jesus come walking on water, he asked him if he could come out there and get out of the boat. And he went towards walking to Jesus. And then, of course, he started looking around at the waves and everything else and began to sink. Thank God that Jesus reached up there and pulled him out. But what the Lord put on my heart is, what about the 11 that were in the boat that were too scared to step out? You know what I'm saying? And that's the only way we can come to recovery. That's the only way we can come to know Jesus, is to step out of our comfort zone and step up to who created us. Somebody that loves you. So, anyway, I just wanted you guys to think about that. Let's be brave enough, you know what I'm saying, to step out of the boat. Step out of our comfort zone. All right, any first-timers? Okay. Don't be shy. All right. All right. Very proud of you. Yeah, first step. All right, how about 30 days? Anybody got 30 days? How about 60 days?
That's 2 months for you.
90 days? No. How about 120 days? All right. All right, how about 5 months? 6 months? How about 7 months? How about 8 months? All right. How about 9 months? All right. How about 10 months? 11 months? How about a year? Anybody got a year? How about 18 months? Uh-oh. How about 2 years? Anybody got 2 years? How about multiple years? All right, one more chance. If there's any first-timers, please have the faith to step forward. So, all right, everybody can come back up here that wants to with their take their pictures for the chips. Be careful now. Joey gonna have a heart attack. You guys doing good, brother. Love you. Proud of you. That's fine. There you go. Make a good picture.
I was going to say Jesus, but
Yeah.
Congratulations to everybody who got a chip. It's a big step. First time, 1 month, 1 year. It's a awesome accomplishment, and I'm super proud of you. Okay, so I asked Daniel. I was like, "Give me something to say about you, or something. Give me something, but I don't want it to take from your testimony." He's like, "I'm doing a testimony." I was like, "Do you know where you're at?" And then he pulls out a 6-page thing. I don't even know. Notes, 6 page of notes. And I was like, all right, just do you up here. Whatever you got to say, it's fine. Well, but just give me something. He was like, I don't know. My name's Daniel. So I really don't have nothing to say to tell you about this man, but besides his name's Daniel. And he's really good at tattoos. So if anybody needs a tattoo, holla at your boy right there. So without further ado, Daniel Sessoms, everybody.
Oh yeah, I got this thing.
Yeah, you don't need
So I came to a realization that Joey's dad here, he takes care of everything.
Yeah, he
said,
called
"I gotta
me
talk-"
Dad, too,
He
and
said, "I
that
gotta
made me-
talk to you, and you're gonna put this on." And I'm gonna be honest. I learned scripture a lot of ways. One of them is from tattooing people on it. One of them is from Eric Miller repeating it to me. What's Philippians 2:14, Eric? Do all things without complaint. Yeah, and I'm about to complain. So he put this on my head, right? And I felt ridiculous. And I still feel ridiculous. So then I had to go into a mode that I'm going to be like Maverick, okay? I feel like a dog with one of those things, you know? And I wanted the microphone, but he wasn't going to give me the microphone. He said, please just use it. So I came to this place where I was like, I'm just going to use it, okay? I submitted. And I think that's a big part of our recovery is submitting. And then Joey threw me off because he's like, I don't want to ruin your testimony. I was like, I'm going to tell my testimony? That's kind of boring. But we all got a very similar testimony, right? I mean, maybe not everybody in here struggle with drugs and alcohol, but you struggle with something similar. And I think about that a lot. Casting your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Be sober-minded, be vigilant. Your adversary, the devil. We all are struggling with something, and there's always a set trap for our struggles, you know. Some of us got alcohol problems. Some of us got drug problems. Some of us got spouse problems or relationship problems or parent problems or kid problems or Grand Theft Auto problems. We all have some kind of a problem. Am I right? So I'll be honest with you. I always feel weird getting up and speaking in front of any kind of a large group of people. But I get glad when I come here because the last time I came here, I felt the same way. Like, y'all got a lot of love in here. And I know I could talk about Jesus in here because I've seen all y'all talking about Jesus. And I don't have to be like your higher power of the door handle, you know? So, hey, there's some good stuff from AA. There's some good stuff. I do like Celebrate Recovery a lot more, though. Which I guess, in a sense, it was my first... but that's not true. Okay, we'll do a little bit of testimony. So I had a drug problem, right? I got into tattooing. Well, I had a drinking problem too. It started with drinking. We'll do a little bit of testimony. I really wanted to talk to y'all about something. I had something going on for you, and I'm still going to do it. Now I won't need Eric. I'll still need Eric. I always need Eric. So I think a lot of addicts, I'm going to talk about addicts because I was an addict, and I say I was an addict because I don't believe I'm an addict these days. When I was little, man, I seen my parents doing stuff, and I said, I'm never going to do that. That's never going to be me. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da, blah-blah-blah, and I judged my parents probably a little bit without even realizing it, okay? Still being a child, I thought, that's my dad. I ain't going to say nothing bad about my dad, you know? That's my mom. I ain't going to say nothing bad about my mom. But then I had this counselor that really liked to dig deep, and he was kind of like my spiritual sandpaper. And man, he ticked me off so much. But the man is really one of my ultimate best friends. And he taught me the word good, and what he taught me about the word good was that it meant functioning. And so we started looking at my childhood and what was good or functioning about it, right? And when you really break down things, you start to realize there's a lot of stuff that's not functioning right, you know? And I don't like to try to justify my behavior on my traumas or anything like that, because I don't like the woo to me, you know? Which I think is a lot of reasons why we relapse. Woo to me and justification. I deserve this drink, you know? I just think that's a cop-out. So yeah, I was never going to be like this. I was never going to do this, and I love that word never. Just say never. I'll never, my family will never do that. My kids will never do that. My wife will never do that. I'll never do that. And watch yourself be eating never. And I did, man. And I remember, like, I think I was 13. I drank my first six-pack. I was like, I'm going to show you, Dad. Oh, man. Anyway, I didn't do that again for a long time. I didn't want to do drugs or alcohol. I really enjoyed healthy activities and doing things that bettered my life, bettered the way I lived. You know, I enjoyed life, you know. I guess it was around the age of like between 18 and 20, 21 that I started to enter into drinking, smoking weed, just a little bit of stuff here and there. You start partying with your friends. You start having weekend fun. Weekend fun turns into Thursday to Sunday fun, which turns into Wednesday to Sunday, which turns into every day of the week, and turns into you got a problem, you know? Huh. Like that. I would deal with that problem on and off, you know, like I would use, I wouldn't use, I would use, I wouldn't use. And I was a rock mason, a block mason, construction worker that kind of accidentally fell into doing tattoos because I had always had the ability to draw and paint. And I met a man. I got a tattoo. I kept putting off getting a tattoo. I was turning 23 and I got a tattoo. The guy that did it, he didn't really have any artistic ability. And I thought, if this guy can tattoo, I can tattoo. You know, so I started learning how to tattoo. And that opened a whole new world for me, man. I went through an apprenticeship in a shop, and I'm wanting to say this stuff kind of fast because it's not really what I want to concentrate on. I'm trying to get to a point of showing you something, and it's hard for me to get the words to get there, and so I'm trying. Drinking. Y'all have no idea how hard it is to do a tattoo with a hangover and you can't hold your head up. Mikey, are you in here? He's not in here. No, my Mikey. Anyway, doing a tattoo with a hangover is very hard work. So I got introduced to hydros, and they felt great. I didn't have to worry about doing a tattoo without a hangover, you know? I could tattoo all day on some hydros, and these are just little bitty things, you know? This was at the baby root of my addiction, I call it. You get into hydros, then they start bringing you the other stuff. You start learning about Adderall. You start learning about Xanax. I was a baby to all this, right? I was a baby to it, Eric. I didn't know nothing about what I was going into, which was trouble and a mess and a whirlwind. And so it was a slow process at first, in baby steps, right? And those baby steps, man, they started to get bigger steps and bigger steps. And have y'all ever seen that little advertisement on Facebook of that duck that's running, and he hits that thing, and then he's taking off, and he jumps, and he runs again, and it just keeps getting darker and darker and worse and worse? That's what that's like a perfect example of it. And I'm pretty sure that all of y'all in here, if you did drugs and alcohol, did that same little thing. Am I right? So, anyway, dude, by the time I was 25 or 26, I thought I was clean and sober because I was off drugs and on a new drug. I was on Suboxone. and it was like my 6 years of living on Suboxone. And you were talking about AA and NA, and I'd go to those meetings, and I thought I was clean, dude. I was like, I'm on Suboxone, dude. I don't do drugs, you know? And one day I was driving home from the beach, and I was nodding out. And I was always nodding out. I was like, why am I always falling asleep, dude? And it just started to click that I'd just been lying to myself for a really long time about Suboxone. And some people will tell you that they're clean and they're on Suboxone. And you know what? If they're not using fentanyl or heroin and they're, hey, more power to you, however you got to do your recovery. But I was not clean on Suboxone. I was using Suboxone, I was drinking, I was smoking, I was doing everything else with the Suboxone. You know, it was no clean life. It was no drug free. It was a scam, man. It was a gimmick. And then I started having to deal with DCS, and so I quit the Suboxone and the Adderall and the weed and everything else that was there that, you know, I was like, I'm not on drugs, you know. Denial is a beautiful thing. So I quit everything for, I'm pretty sure, like 6 months. I was actually off drugs. I was off all of it. And do you know what the word dry drunk is? When you're off of it, when you're off of something, but you're miserable. Like you ever meet people like that? Like, and you're at Dollywood seeing normal people walk around, and you're like, they can't be like on no substances at all. They have to be using something. You know what I mean? Like, you ever get like that, Eric? Like, you're wondering what are they doing that they're happy and normal? That's how I felt being at Dollywood or at the mall or anywhere. Like, these people have to be on something. And yeah, I was just miserable, man. So 6 months, I'm going to work still, and I start dabbling stuff. I'm lying to my wife about it. Like, she's dumb, you know. She's not dumb. She knows exactly what's going on. Anybody that's ever walked in addiction, you know when somebody's using, you know when somebody's lying to you. You've been through it. You've done it. You walked it. When real recognize real, right? You know. Hey, T-Bone, if I'm doing something, you're going to see right through it, ain't you? That's how Tessa was. She see right through it. I thought she was dumb. Not a dummy. So a week in the hydros turned into a week in the Roxys, turned into a week of Opanas, turned into full-blown active addiction, turned into I met more people, learned how to do more drugs, more ways. You know, I didn't go to jail until I was 35 years old. I know people have been in jail when they're teenagers, 17, 18. I never, you know, I was doing all the same stuff, but never in jail, you know. I had a business, I had a home, I had cars. I looked like I just was in the suburbs doing the right thing, but really there's a lot of stuff in the dark. And what did Jesus say about the things in the dark? It's coming into the light. And it will always come into the light. Whatever I want to do in secret, it's coming into the light. And whenever you got all that stuff stashed in the dark, it hits hard, you know? Like when you're on that train and it gets faster and faster and faster. And dude, first time I went to jail, it was DUI. And I was passed out in the country club parking lot with my car and driving on foot on the brake for like 5 hours. And the cops knocked on the window. And they were so sweet to me, dude. I never had police be that sweet. That's the only time they was ever that sweet to me, dude. They tapped on the window real gently, woke me up. I had all kinds of stuff laying next to me. They didn't charge me for none of that. They let me make a phone call before ever arrested me and put me in booking, anything like that. They were like, "Are you all right, sir?" And I just was honest for some reason. I was like, "No. I don't even know where I'm at, dude. I don't know how long I've been here." They were probably the sweetest police I ever dealt with. They were never sweet like that again. But I went to jail. I was 35 or 36, something like that. I ain't never been in jail, and dude, I was really scared. I think I met you that time in jail, Reed, and I was sick. I was coming off of pain pills. Man, they were like, "Tattoo me, dude. I'll give you a cigarette." Dude, I felt like crap. I started doing pick and pokes. I was like, "I can't do this." I need to go take a shower and lay on the floor. Hamlin County Annex is a lot of fun. It's like a bad summer camp. You got like 40 bunk beds and then 60 people laid out everywhere. Beds in between beds. And I'm pretty sure they were putting Dawn dish detergent or shampoo or something in front of the door so when people came in they could jump them, right? That's a horrible, horrible place. I tried to get the captain to move me to ISO, and they were like, "Why are you trying to go to ISO?" I told them I wanted to do a tour. They said, "You're doing fine where you're at. We're going to leave you there." I was supposed to be in jail for 24 hours. Nobody would bond me out. They wanted me to dry out. They were going to prove a point, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I need to have some forgiveness there. That sounded bitter, didn't it? My drug dealer bonded me out of jail that time and told me that I had to do better. She said, "You can't do dope no more. You're my dope dealer bonding me out of jail, telling me I can't do dope no more." That didn't last real long. It was 2 months later, I got another DUI. And you got to sit in jail for like 45 days for a second DUI. And it was great. Like, I never thought that I'd be happy sitting in jail. But let me tell you the miracle of it. I got off drugs. I did drugs one time in jail. One time, right at the beginning. And then after that, it was like 20-something days clean. I remember calling my dad, and he's like, "How are you?" I said, "Dude, for the first time in my life, I feel really good." And I was reading my Bible in there. I was walking right, I mean, however you can walk right in jail. But they were, I was talking to the judge of Morristown, and I got a lot of respect for that judge. And I don't know if too many people say that about their judge, but my judge gave me chance after chance after chance. And he was like, "What do you want to do?" He was going to violate me and just make me sit in jail for a year. And then they were going to let me out on good behavior and put me in the workhouse. And I told them that if they did that, then I was going to get picked up by a drug dealer and I was going to be right back. And they were like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And a few of them, like, really stood up for me in the courtroom, and they sent me to rehab to True Purpose, which is the rehab part's the front. It's really a faith-based discipleship program. That's where I met Eric. And I was already detoxed, so it wasn't a hard time being in there. My youngest daughter was 10 and wrote me a letter. It said, "Come to me, all who are weary, and I'll give you rest, for my burden is light and my yoke is easy." And I thought, wow, a 10-year-old's writing me that, dude. That's got to be God talking to me through my daughter. And it gave me a lot of hope. And hope, I think, is probably the most beautiful thing that we have, because hope is what I think can keep you going whenever you're like, "Well, why ain't I where I want to be yet? Or why ain't I there yet? I'm going to justify it. I'm working. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I deserve a beer." And then that beer turns into a six-pack, and that six-pack turns into a fifth, and that fifth turns into a little bit of whatever, I mean, we did it over and over again. How many times did you go through the program? Enough, yeah. Anyway, I thought to myself, well, let's see if I can be clean for a year. And I did. I got clean for a year, dude. And I had a really good year. And I hadn't been off drugs since I was like, or drugs and alcohol or substance or anything, since I was about 20. So at this point, I'm 36. It's the first time since being 20 that I've been clean for that long, Like, that's a milestone. That was a big deal for me. And then, like, at 15 months, I relapsed really hard. And it started with something so small as Kratom at a gas station. And Kratom at a gas station turned into CBD or Delta 8 or whatever. And that turned into some wine. And then within a month, I was, like, doing meth and everything else the same way that I was right before I went to jail, went to True Purpose. Like, it didn't take long for me to go right back to where I left off at. I think a month. Maybe 2 months. I can't remember. But it got bad really quick and really fast. And that lasted for about 9 months. And one of the coolest things I can remember about that, like, there's nothing cool about that 9 months, but the people that I was, that had come to know me and, like, were trying to help me walk a life of, drug-free and following the Lord, they were pretty steady in coming after me. Like like I had to argue with them and fight with them about it. Like you need to come back here and get sober and da da. No, I'm not. I ain't ever coming back. And I wasn't. I didn't have any plans of going back. I actually had plans of just going till it was no more to go, till I was done. And I think that was all shame and guilt and every other negative feeling that you could put in there. Like, well, what have I done? You're driving around Morristown. That's where I live, Morristown. You're driving around at 3 and 4 in the morning, trying to figure out how to get $40 so that you're not dope sick. And you're asking God, what do you want me to do? And you're thinking about it. And you're like, you done delivered me from this, and I went right back to it. Like, stupid can you get? And I'm not the only one that's done it, but how stupid can you get? And so my wife went to rehab, and that was my Narcan partner. Like, if I was going to die, she was going to bring me back, And that's not funny, but looking back in hindsight, everything's funny. I went to rehab. I went back to rehab. I swallowed my pride. I went back, and I was so angry for like 2 months. I was just nonstop angry. And the funny thing is like after I started to withdraw and detox and get through all that, where I picked up with getting high and using, where I started and I picked up right where I left off, right? Well, in my recovery, I feel like I picked up right where I left off too, So like everything that was there before was just like starting to spark back up, I was feeling bright-eyed, bushy-tailed again. I was enjoying life again. I was battling with enjoying life again, The day I went back to True Purpose was November 12th, 2021. Same recovery date as your boy. And which his was a year before me. And I love that guy. I've been clean since then. And I don't dabble. And I can't dabble. I can't go and play with Kratom. And it's all in your face, And it's not even so much that I can't play with it. It says I choose. Like, I know there's a different way. I know that if I'm having a stressful day, I don't got to go get a bag of Kratom. I don't got to go to the CBD store down the road. I was driving through here, and I saw a big, huge sign that said liquor, and it lit up and spun around, It was like, wow, they're at a casino, I think every human being has days that they're like, I just don't want to get up and do today. Like, I think depression is real. And I think that we have moods and emotions, and we go through them, and I believe that if we keep on chasing God, then He's going to keep on holding us up. And I think that if we just keep on hoping that, hey, God's got this, like without getting too deep into some things of it, we have goals, right? And if we write those goals down, they say they can become more obtainable, right? So sometimes I write my goals down, sometimes I don't. If I just do, what does it say in Galatians 6:9? Do not be deceived. God will not be mocked. Whatever a man sows, he will reap. And then it talks about sowing the flesh and sowing the spirit. And if you do not grow weary in doing good, at the proper time you'll reap your harvest if you don't give up, right? And I believe that because in my life I can see the effects of it. Like if a hard time comes and I just lay down and give up, or I just go back to getting high or drinking, or if I just want to run from it, and that's what I realized too, was I was a runner. Like, it wasn't all about the getting high part. It was the running away from life part. Jesus said, the world's going to bring you trouble. Be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. And I think that's a lot of drug addict, alcoholic, whatever you want to call it. I think that's our problem sometimes, is that we want to run from everything instead of just facing it on. And I think that we can face it with God, like not by strength, not by might, but by His Spirit in us, we can deal with that if we just Sometimes we sit, sometimes we got to move. What did Elijah do in the cave? He sat there. God wasn't in the earthquake, the fire, none of that. He said, what are you doing here, Elijah? Like, what are you doing here, Daniel? What are you doing, man? I wrote down some stuff for y'all because I didn't know I was going to be sharing a testimony. Because I always think, like, we're all really the same, you know? Like, we're all dealing with the same stuff, right? What time is it? How much time do I have? Am I good on time? Okay, cool. Okay, I brought Eric just in case. So I've been thinking a lot lately about pressure. And there's some synonyms for pressure. Anxiety, burdens, cares, hardships. What does Serenity Prayer say? Hardship is the pathway to peace. Okay, so pressure. I was thinking a lot about it, and I was thinking about what life does to us. It puts pressure on us, okay? I was thinking about an autoclave, really. And an autoclave is a tool. It's a machine that builds up heat, pressure, and time, and it sterilizes the instruments you put into it, okay? I used to have to deal with these when tattoo instruments where you had to clean tubes, sterilize them, use them again. Now everything's disposable. Use it one time, throw it away. You could not use your tubes if you didn't clean them and sterilize them, put them through the heat and the pressure and everything like that. And I was thinking about how life does that to us, man. Life hits us. I wrote all these notes that I'm probably not going to use, but I wrote them down just so I had them in case my mind went blank, because I am a little burnt, and sometimes my brain goes, and especially if my phone sends a text message and I look at it, I'll go like lightning just hit me. You know, I'll forget everything that's going on. So in some of these notes I put here, Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, for all these things shall be added unto you. And I put that there because that to me is trusting the process. If you trust God and you chase God and you are turning your life over to God, then he will handle your business for you. Right after that, it says, do not worry about tomorrow, because the day has enough to worry about. When I start worrying about tomorrow and I get anxious and everything like that, that makes me think dumb thoughts or things I don't need to think, right? Am I the only one that does that? Okay, so back to this autoclave and the pressure and the heat and the time and everything. I think pressure can create power. And I say that because those instruments can't be used. A scalpel, you know, if you got to do surgery, you cannot use that scalpel if it's not, well, I mean, you can. You know, I've tattooed in bathrooms before, okay? I probably shouldn't have said that for everybody, but I've tattooed in some weird places. I've done, dude, people were like, I just need to shut up on that. When you're on drugs, you do a lot of stuff, man. Pressure. The autoclave can get the pressure can give you power. Now I'm trying to get somewhere with this. The process, the heat. You don't want, nobody wants to be in a furnace, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was thrown into a furnace. The same people that threw them in, God was watching them. God caught those same people on fire. When they were in there and they didn't burn up, what did they do? They said, there's another man in there, and they pulled them out. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the king threw the people that wanted them dead into the fire and then promoted them. So whenever that problem came on them, like whenever pressure comes on you, whenever hardship comes after you, I have to believe that we're about to be promoted. And maybe not. Maybe I'm just a fool, you know? But, and I could be. But I think pressure is extremely important for our walk, so that we can learn, that we don't have to go back to doing the things that we used to do. So that when we lose a family member, or when we're about to lose a family member, or when our relationships are falling apart, or when the cars keep on breaking. I remember one time my maturity checks were really good when the car quit working. Dude, I got out cursing and kicking and feeling like a fool, you know. Romans 5:3-5. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame, because God loves us, and He's poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit. And that goes back to me thinking about hope. And yeah, so what do we have if we don't have hope, right? I just found out that my cousin has a brain tumor, and I don't think it's the end for him at all. I think it's the beginning. I think that whatever the devil tries to use to destroy people, to destroy people's lives, their relationships, their homes, everything, I think that if we have hope and we hang on to God, rough times don't always last. And it is a cliche that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But these storms, I have to believe, are designed to give us endurance and strength and perseverance and hope. And, if we just got off drugs and it was just that easy, then what is the next thing that we're doing? I just can't believe it's that life's supposed to be that simple. Like, we always want to say, I would always want to say it's the devil. But is it really the devil? And I read, a dude sent me this the other day, and it was by a guy named A.W. Tozer, but it said, this is good. If you can keep up with it on it, it's good. It is doubtful whether God can truly use a man greatly until he has hurt him deeply. Thank you, Lord. God actually rises up storms of conflict in relationships and circumstances at times in order to accomplish that deeper work in our character. We cannot love our enemies and those who oppose us in our own strength. This is graduate level grace. Are you willing to enter this school? Are you willing to take the test? If you pass, you can expect to be elevated to a new level in the kingdom. For he brings us through these tests as preparation for greater use in the kingdom. You must pass the test first. I have a really good friend who is really, 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 really good with the word, and he's, but he's smoking crack right now, But he said a lot of people want to get really close to God, but a lot of people don't want to go through the fires to get close to God. And dude, he just hit me with that, like 3 o'clock in the morning conversations, like. I love them. So talking again about hard times and God and the devil. Did the devil not ask God, can I do this to Job? Can I do this, and this? And God said, sure. You just can't kill him. And Job still worshiped God, man. He still was about God. One of the guys I counsel in the house, he just got out of prison. And when he got out, he was so shell-shocked in some of the situations coming into, like CRs, bowling alleys, a lot of people. He said, pressure is opportunity to thrive and cultivate strength. I love the guys, dude. Another cliche thing I used to hear was I'd hear this guy say, you can't have a testimony without a test. And just with that, I seen another guy here in Newport wearing a T-shirt that said tried and true. I ran into another guy that had a United States Marine Corps K-bar knife. It said battle worn. And I'm thinking about all this stuff, and as I'm writing this stuff, and I'm coming to see y'all, and y'all loving Jesus, loving people, love it when I go to a CR and they love Jesus, I mean, Eric, you got it to where I can't go to a church now, and if they're not yelling something, I'm like, man, this place has gotten dry. What's going on, You changed the whole game. I tell Joey that you're coming. He said, well, we'll be here till midnight. David said, deep calls deep. And your waves and billows go over my head. And it makes me think about that song, Spirit Lead Me. This song's really funny because I don't think anybody pays attention to the lyrics of it, But it says, Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you will call me. Where your grace abounds in the deepest waters where my feet may fail. And, people sing that and I mean, it's a beautiful song, but they sing it and they don't think about it. It's like, dude, the deep call it the deep. That's where you're going into trouble. Like, that's where you can do nothing in your own strength except for rely on God. And when you've been in places like that, it teaches you that you're not going back. Am I making sense? You're not going back, you know? And then just a little bit more, and I'll be done. But this one I've been hearing a lot lately, and I'm always wondering, why do people, you know, who was doing the chips earlier? Someone was doing chips. You're doing chips, and you get the 30 days and the 60 days and the 90 and the 120, and you know, as you start getting higher and higher, you start losing people, right? And you say it's coming, and you hope it's coming, right? And it will for some. But I'm always wondering, why do people go backwards, and why do people go back into using? Um, and it's not just like, I mean, it happens, but it's not like, I probably used to have a little bit of an attitude about things, you know. Willie would always tell me, when we're drug addicts, we're going to behave like drug addicts, you know. But hope deferred makes the heart sick, but desires fulfilled is a tree of life. And again, back to that woo to me justification of I deserve a drink, or I deserve a pill, or I deserve a Xanax, or whatever. I think when our life isn't looking like what we were hoping it would look like when we graduate a program and they put us in a 90-day whatever thing, you know what I'm talking about. Just the accountability parts that we don't like that can make us upset. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but desires fulfilled brings a tree of life. Yeah, man. Sometimes things take longer than we want it to take. Chase, you've watched me through a lot of my recovery, and it was pretty big to me when I got sober to find out that you had already been doing the same walk. You know, it was huge to me, just because of the places that we had been together. You know, that's something I'm grateful to God about. You know, even the guy sitting right behind you. You know, Paul says to press forward, keep your eye on the prize. And these kinds of things took me a long time to figure out. I'd get clean, I'd relapse, you know, and then I didn't want to keep on doing it. So I stopped, and I tried to figure it out, and it wasn't easy. And then just some little basic things here that I wrote down was about, it's never been about how hard you can hit, and this comes from Rocky. You know, I love that. But how hard you can get hit and get back up. And, you know, over time of pressure on us, man, that's when I think we build strength. That's when we build character, and that's when we build integrity. The guy that made it usually doesn't make it the first time. You never see how many times that he tried. You never see how many times that he fell, because all you see is his success time. I love seeing pictures of Dakota when he first went in the program, how small that he was. No one would ever think, boy, that, yeah. But Carlos has videos of him when he first went to Indiana, wanting a chicken quesadilla. Yeah, those are great videos. There's always hope, and that's what keeps you going. Now, I did look up the word pressure in the Oxford Dictionary, and it said continuous physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. The second part of that was the use of persuasion, influence, or intimidation to make someone do something. Yeah, man. I think that as we go into our recovery, and I think that whether you're in a program or you're in an Oxford house or you're in a Steps House of Grace, wherever, you know, if you're going to seriously be sober in your recovery, you're going to find Jesus, or as it says, He's going to find you, because right, no flesh finds Him first; He calls them, right? And I think that I love this accountability, when you can surrender all of your business, and I don't mean like, you know, running around butt naked, but right here, I love this because I have well over 20 people that can see my location at any time. And the thing about this is, hey, these phones do die a lot, okay? But I get it charged up quick because I don't need anybody wondering where I'm at. You know, I want them to know where I'm at. You get what I'm saying? When I graduated the program I was in, I was still calling my counselor saying, well, I'm getting off work at this time. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. He'd say, you don't got to tell me that stuff no more. Like, well, I know I don't, but someone will know where I'm at. If something happens to me, you know what road I was going on. You know what way I was going. So that's where you know to find me, right? That's all I got for you guys. So you want to do an altar call? Hey, thanks. Where's Dad?